Here's to whiskey kisses, the peaty taste of sin.
It's whiskey time. Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud, where we have the July 2024 Outturn.
Yay.
The 153rd Outturn from the SMWS here in Canada, and an Outturn that Taryn has yet to try. We've had 2 tastings so far. Pat was my co-host one. Oh yeah, Pat's back, which is kind of wild. You may remember Pat, he was actually me before I was me, which is always a fun sentence. Yeah, so he was the whiskey buyer and the head presenter at the SMWS when I first started here at the Strath, passed on the mantle to me. I also live in his old house, so I do feel a little bit like I am just like Pat sometimes.
You guys are kind of the same person sometimes.
Yeah, he's a little more cool than I am. He likes the hip music, but that's okay. Yeah. Anyway, and yeah, Andrew was my co-host on Sunday, and Taryn was taking the weekend off to go enjoy the Phillips Backyarder.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Was it good?
It was good.
Who was the favourite act?
Flyanna Boss.
Flyanna Boss. See, Pat would know who that is.
Pat probably does know who and Pat should be sitting there just for that.
Sorry, I'll leave now. I'll go get... Anyway. It's been a little while since we've done one of these outturns. A few things have changed. First of all, the Dram Association doesn't exist anymore, which is wild and shocking. Don't worry, it hasn't actually gone anywhere. Just changed name. In honor of what I say at the beginning of almost every video, it's now called Whiskey Folk. We wanted to make it a little bit more approachable, a little friendlier, a little less sounding like it's a barrister's, because association's a big, long word when you've had a couple of drinks. And we also wanted to make it a little bit more approachable for people who are coming to whiskey from non-Scottish places as well. Like, we do still very much have a focus on Scotch, but if you're an Irish whiskey drinker or a Canadian whiskey drinker or Japanese or whatever, you might not know what a dram is. And in fact... most people in Victoria probably, because it's a big tech industry town, think it's some kind of digital RAM. Some kind of random access memory. It's not. It's a small measure of whiskey. But that doesn't matter anymore, because we're no longer the Dram Association. We are whiskey folk. We are all whiskey folk together. Taryn, are you a whiskey folk?
I certainly am.
Damn right you are. And yeah, we are proud to present the Scotch Malt Whisky Society still here at the Strath. And we're also proud to say that prices are being brought down a little bit. And you might notice that in the prices of today's outturn as well. It's been happening for a couple of months now. Of course, I haven't managed to get a video out for the last couple of months. On that, partially because I've been really busy, partially because I have been celebrating because I just became Canadian, hence the Canada A shirt from Brett, and partially because they're actually renovating the hotel the other side of that wall, so it was kind of hard to work around all the drilling. But that seems to be mostly under wraps now. I think they're painting, which is substantially quieter. Anyway, so let's explore these 6 whiskies. Actually, sorry, 5 whiskies.
5 whiskeys.
5 whiskies and a gin, all Scottish though.
Yes.
And I was joking at the Outturn that we've had a lot of non-Scottish things recently. It's nice to get back to a tasting where everything is Scottish for a change. And I feel like it's in honour of the courageous efforts of the Scottish soccer team during the UEFA. I don't know if you followed that. I don't think they scored a single goal.
Woof.
Or rather, I think they technically did, but it was an own goal, so it doesn't really count.
Oh, poor Scotland.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
They did great. They came last in their group, but they tried. That's what
matters.
So in honour of the Scottish national soccer team, we're presenting only Scottish things here today. And we're starting with this guy. This is Mosey Along the Pathway. Would you like to do the honours?
Please.
Alrighty. I'll clear the decks. Yeah, I really enjoyed this first whiskey. I thought it was an excellent way to start a tasting off. The room was pretty split as to whether it was spicy or whether it was sweet. It's from the spicy and sweet collection, let's call it, the flavour profile.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Can it be both?
it can. It absolutely can. But some people thought it was only one or the other, and some people thought it swayed heavily in one direction.
Oh.
And interestingly, both Andrew and I disagreed both times, because Andrew actually came on Friday as a guest as well. And yeah, he thought it was spicy on Friday and I thought it was sweet. And then on Sunday, I thought it was the other way around. We both swapped. We just can't get along, me and Andrew. We're like 2 cats in a bag. That's a phrase, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't know. 2 cats in a bag.
Cats in a bag works.
They might get along. It depends on the cats.
Schrodinger's cats in a bag?
Schrodinger's cats in a bag. All right, here's the official tasting notes. We poured paint over new concrete path and then soaked it up with blotting paper and a burlap sack as custard rained down from the sky. I wish I'd put this into ChatGPT. That'd be a great image, wouldn't it? It's raining custard. The palate was awash with orange fondant, damson jam, and light anise, cold lager, and corn on the cob.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had lager as a tasting note in a whiskey before. It's a wild one. Yeah, should we pause for the pop?
I think so.
All right. Nice.
Could have been better.
I liked the squeak. I'm a fan of a squeak.
Okay.
I like a squeaky pop.
Squeaky chord.
Ah, lovely. So yeah, as you will have already seen on the slide I threw up there, this is a Glenmorangie, which is kind of fun as well. So it's always nice to start off with something relatively familiar, set your paces, set your expectations for the tasting. Love a Glenmorangie. Water apparently introduces pear drops to the nose, along with bergamot and new leather. The palate was now lemon forward, which followed swiftly by iron brew, or
my god!
Iron brew is a great spelling. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
IRNBRU, Iron brew.
It's
So they could copyright it, I think. Anyway, and bubblegum, shochu, and gentle spiced orange.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, there's a lot going on this. Chin chin.
And lager.
Yeah. That's concrete and lager. Yeah.
Paint. Concrete.
Also, how much does the guy on the front of the book look like Pat? It's weird, isn't it? That's not Pat. That's, I believe, Ewan from the SMWS.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome.
Raining custard.
Okay.
I long for the day when it rains custard.
Be a pretty good day.
Oh, it'd be really interesting though, wouldn't it? Because you know custard has a special property?
No.
Yeah, so custard is what's it called now? It's a non-Newtonian something. Essentially, when it's under pressure, it becomes a solid. So there's actually an experiment where a guy in the UK filled a swimming pool with custard, and you can run along it.
Oh.
Because as your foot goes down, it compresses and turns into a solid. So if it rains custard, it would be really painful, because when it hits under pressure, when it hits the ground, it would actually be a solid ball.
Oh my God.
It'd be like hail that then slowly gelatinizes onto the pavement.
So maybe that would be a disaster.
It wouldn't be great, no. The whiskey, however, is definitely not a disaster.
Sentiment is there.
Yeah. So Glenmorangie is a Speyside distillery. This is from a first fill ex-bourbon barrel aged for 9 years from the 1st of August 2013. Weirdly, only 90 bottles. And the SMWS themselves don't really know why that is. There's no good explanation. Sometimes when this happens, it's because they used 3/4 of the cask for like advent calendars or something, right? This, or blending. They didn't. They think maybe a leaky cask is probably the main culprit. We discussed this actually. When whiskey evaporates through the cask, it's the angel share.
Yes.
So we decided on Sunday that the whiskey that seeps through the cask and into the ground must be the Devil's Share. Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
explanation.
The devil had a lot of this Glenmorangie.
And it's fantastic, so that makes sense.
Right? Also, on pronunciation, a lot of people will call this Glenmurray. And some people will call it Glenmoray. It looks like Moray to me. I've heard it both ways by native Scottish speakers. I just got used to calling it Glenmoray because I love the joke of when the moon hits the sky like a big pizza pie, that's Glenmoray.
That tracks.
It's an interesting distillery. It was actually owned by the same company as the SMWS for a while.
Really?
Yeah, so for a while, what was it, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy owned both Ardbeg and Glenmoray, which they got rid of Glenmoray now, and Glenmorangie. And the SMWS for like 2 years, and then thankfully it got sold back to like the original group. I think it was the original group. Either way, it's independent again, thankfully, because it always felt a little bit weird to have the SMWS owned by a company that owns 2 distilleries.
Seems a little weird.
Or 3 distilleries at the time.
Yeah.
The weirdest part is we didn't get that much more Ardbeg or Glenmorangie during that period, which I feel like if we're going to put up with that kind of deal, we should at least get more Ardbeg out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, we got a whole lot of Glenmoray, which I am very happy about because I really like this distillery. They've only just come to North America with their official bottlings. And they're really good. They're really good value. But Glenmoray gets even better when it's a single cask like this with a bit of age on it. All of their official bottlings here are all like 4 or 5. They're all non-age statement. One of them's peated, which is really interesting. I'm really looking forward to trying a peated single cask Glenmoray. Hopefully the SMWS has some in their stocks because that'd be kind of cool.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, you'd like one thing about Glenmoray. They were the pioneers of using white wine casks in whiskey, right? It's not that popular still, but you see it every now and again. They were the first people on record, at least, to really do that. In 1999, they put out both a Chardonnay cask and a Chenin Blanc cask, which is kind of cool.
That is very cool.
They started life as a
Chenin
brewery
Blanc
as well. In 1830, they were originally Elgin Brewery, and then became a distillery later on. So a little bit like our Big Bad John's whiskey, this place has beer, wine, and whiskey all in one place.
Nice.
But yeah, this is just a straight ex-bourbon cask, which really shows a bit more of that Glenmoray character. Nice. I think it's spicy on the nose today. What do you think?
It is spicy on the nose.
It feels hot. Yeah. It feels like I'm getting the citrus notes. It's talked about orange a lot, and orange fondant on the palate, or spiced orange after water as well, bergamot. It's kind of a similar flavour. I'm getting more grapefruit on the nose today. Mm-hmm. Like a pink grapefruit. With like cloves stabbed into it.
Oh yeah. Definitely the clove. I'm getting more like lemon and lime zest.
Oh yeah. Well, I made a mistake and haven't got a water dropper. And I don't think there's even one in this room. So we're going to have some fun doing water additions today. What I'm going to do is, because I find it really hard to pour water out of these and slightly easier out of these, I'm going to make a mess right now and try and... Oh, that wasn't so bad.
Could have been worse.
Could have been worse. I'm going to try adding a tiny little drop of water from this. Would you like to do the same?
Please, thank you.
Because I kind of want to find the shochu. I haven't found the shochu yet. And that's a really interesting flavour note.
Oh, it softens it up a lot.
I kind of get the lagery thing. Like, it's not beery, but it's like grain watery. And that's kind of what lager feels like to me. It's not a real beer. An ale's a real beer. Lager's just grain water.
I get what you mean. Grain water. Delicious.
That is really nice, isn't it? 55.7 as well. So your point earlier on it does have a little spicy heat to it. It's 55's on the higher side, certainly.
It just gets the nose hairs a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a little tingly. Mix with the old nose dance.
Yeah.
So this is 35.360, as we mentioned. There's been a lot of Glenmorays, 360 apparently, which is quite a few.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And we do have some available still. So we got 2 cases of all of the whiskies this month. So we do have a decent amount available for our members. I can't remember how many we have left of this. At the time of recording, it's going live on the website tomorrow morning at the time of release. It's already live, so go to strathliquor.com/SMWS, our newly designed SMWS page, better than ever, and you can pick up a bottle of this Glenmorangie for $172.09, which means it has to be you have to be a member already because it's below that 180 mark. This is not eligible for a new membership deal for the bottles. And in case that sentence just confused you, you can become an SMWS member. So the SMWS is a membership-based thing, right? I probably should have introduced that a little bit before. I'm out of practice. Yeah, generally you have to be a member to buy the bottles. However, if you've never been a member before, you can get a trial period, a try before you buy, by purchasing a bottle that's over $180, and it gives you a 1-year trial period. So yeah, you can't buy a bottle unless you're a member, but you can become a member by buying a bottle.
Yes.
It's very cyclical.
But not this one.
It's very zen. But yeah, not this one. Not this one. Don't worry, we've got one for you. There is one coming up. Only one. But there is one coming up. Actually, no. There's two, I think. I think we're good. All right, so next up, we have one that I think is the one you were most disappointed that you didn't get to try it because you wanted the tasting.
Yes,
so
probably.
I think this is the one that you're most looking forward to trying.
I think so.
Yeah, this is Scarlet Marzipan.
The
Look at that bottle. Isn't that cool?
color of the whiskey.
Yeah, this is sherry cask-orific. In fact, I think everything from now on is sherry cask.
Thank God.
Yeah, this is a really, really cool whiskey. It's part of course, the that range of whiskies, the Heresy range.
Heresy.
Yeah, and this is the 22nd in the Heresy range. They've done
Okay.
quite a few now. The Heresy range is where the Scotch Malt Whisky Society likes to break their own rules. So they break a few rules. They kind of have started changing which rules they break. We've had things in the Heresy range that are actually single malts. That's one of the big rules, is it's usually a blended malt.
True.
But we've now had single malts. We've even had a brandy, I think, in the Heresy range. They're usually 50% alcohol. This one is. We actually had a cast strength one now as well.
Wow.
Whiskey Barber behind us is cast strength.
That one's a good one.
Isn't it? And they always come in the clear bottle. That is a rule that is always consistent so far with the Heresy range. But one big thing that they really break is they don't tell you at all where it's from. We know the region that these are from, but we have no distillery code. There's no clues as to what distilleries are found in this bottle. All right, so Scarlet Marzipan. This blended malt is the rather tasty result of a combination of Speyside and Highland whiskies fully matured in sherry-seasoned butts. A balance is struck between the use of refill and first-fill wood, and a fusion of Spanish and American oak influence. On the nose neat, we described it as Scottish-Spanish alliance. Chewy Highland toffee, oatmeal porridge with dried fruit compote and apple crumble were met by churros and a glass of oak-aged Rioja. The initial taste certainly had those expected tannins, but was almost immediately brimming with flavours of red fruits and toasted vanilla. All right, let's pause for the pop, shall we?
Sounds like my kind of whiskey.
Oh, this is very much your kind of whiskey, Taryn. Yeah. I believe Andrew was sad on your behalf that you weren't getting to try this with him.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, he does actually sometimes have empathy. He's an actual human being, I've discovered recently. It's kind of nice.
Andrew, you're a human too.
Following reduction, the aroma of terracotta pots, which is kind of fun, sautéed wild mushrooms and salted almonds, plus farmhouse cider and red wine pear frangipani tart, made this an utterly entertaining experience. The taste was like traditional Welsh cakes, a cross between a cookie, a scone, and a pancake. Which is a perfect description of a Welsh cake, and I wish I'd had that in my back pocket before, when Welsh cakes have been in the SMWS tastings and people have asked me what it is. It's like, yeah, it's kind of... It's like, yeah, I can't describe it, but a cookie, a scone, and a pancake hybrid is the perfect description of a Welsh cake.
Okay.
Oh, isn't that so nice on the nose?
That's incredible.
I described this on Friday as very Billy Walkery. It feels like something that Billy Walker would have made. It has that big, deep, rich, chocolatey sherry cask influence that you might find in like an old Glendronach or a Glenallachie.
Mm.
Or actually even more so in a Glenglassaugh. This feels like the Glenglassaugh PX cask that Brett and I fell in love with. Did you get to try that? It was before your time. I think I have a smidgen left. It's one of the best whiskies I've ever had. Yeah, and this is very reminiscent of that. And it's interesting, Kelly and Rob, the founders of SMWS Canada, were in attendance for both of our outturns this month. And they were saying how this has booked a bit of a trend. Some of the stores still find the Heresy range to be a little bit too heretical, I guess. And they're not as popular sometimes as they are here at the Strath, where they're fairly popular. The Heresy range does really well here. This like sold out really quickly at other stores. We still have a decent amount left here at the Strath, and you should absolutely pick one up if it sounds like your jam. But I'll tell you a bit about it. So yeah, Speyside and Highland, it is a blended malt, so which means 100% malted barley from a pot still, but from at least 2 different distilleries. One in Speyside, one in Highland, and maybe others too. We don't know the exact amount, although it was an outturn of 2,798 bottles from a mix of first and refill American oak and Spanish Oloroso butts. So seeing as a butt usually gets 600 bottles, I reckon there's about 5 butts in this. So there's maximum, I think, 5 distilleries. Probably only 2, if I was to guess. Yeah.
It's a lot of butts.
It does, of course, big butts. It does, of course, have an age statement. It's 10 years age, and that's the age statement for the youngest component. So there might be some older whiskey in here as well, but that youngest component was distilled on the 13th of June 2013, and this did indeed come out at 50% alcohol. Some eagle-eyed among you might have noticed that Scarlet is spelt with 2 T's.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, which is the name, not the colour. Which is why there's a woman in a scarlet dress sniffing a rose there. Okay. So a little trivia on women on whiskey labels. Did you know that the very first Scotch whiskey to ever have a woman on the label was Hedonism by Compass Box in the year 2000?
No.
I know, right? Isn't that wild? It's the strangest thing. Yeah, so...
Shout out Scarlet.
Yeah, so Scarlet is joining the Hedonism as a fantastic whiskey. Hedonism is blended grain. This is blended malt. I don't know if having this sort of very gracious-looking woman on the label is inspired by Hedonism or not. It might well be. But yeah, this is a phenomenal blended malt. It feels like... oh, man. What is that? There was a chocolatier, or more of a toffee company in the UK that you'd find they had little tiny stores mostly in malls. I can't remember the name of it. For some reason, it almost always coincided that whatever mall it was in, it was a few doors down from Bodyworks. Huh. Or is that what it's called? The one that's like Lush but not Lush.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Body Shop. Thanks. And they sold this incredibly beautiful, rich toffee, and they sold one that was wrapped in milk chocolate as well. And this tastes like that. It's bringing me back to that. Oh man, I wish I could remember the name of that store. I don't think it exists anymore. Thornton's toffee.
There it is.
I don't think it exists anymore, but I think they still make it, but sell it only like in supermarkets and things now. Okay. But Thornton's toffee, the milk chocolate covered Thornton's toffee. That is what is going on in this glass for me. Okay. Oh man, I need to track down some Thorntons right now.
Send this man some toffee.
Actually, no, I don't, because this has less calories.
Never mind.
I've already got Thornton's toffee in a glass. I don't need the real thing. This has less calories.
I will take the Thornton's toffees.
Oh, okay, fair enough. And the whiskey.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Alrighty, so yeah, this is... It is amazing, isn't it? I'm not going to bother adding water. Because almost the entire group, I can't remember which day it was now, decided that it was better without water. And I concur. I think water changes it a little bit, but not necessarily for the better. I think 50% is exactly where I want to be drinking this. Did you want to try it with water? You feel free to.
No, I think I don't want to.
Right? you don't want to change a thing, right?
No.
Yeah, so we do have a few bottles of this. I think 8, maybe less than that now.
It's criminal that this didn't sell out, guys.
I know, right? Which says a lot about some of the whiskies that are still to come.
True.
True. This is 174.70, so again, existing members only, but this is one of the best whiskies under $180 I can think of that we've had recently. Yeah, big, beautiful, rich sherry influence malted whiskey. Oh, just spot on. Great stuff. Mm-hmm. And next, we're going to one of my favourite whiskies to say over the last one. Yeehaw! Yeah, that's what it's called.
Oh!
It's called Yeehaw. It's literally called Yeehaw.
Awesome.
Right? Yeah, this is a fun one. We opened with burnt sugar on orange slices and shots of spiced rum alongside stew fruits and mince pies, but also earthy notes of foraging mushrooms deep in the forest. Although very different, it did not disappoint on the palate either. Quite dry to start, with maple roasted nut mix, with turmeric and black pepper, soon followed by caramel, chocolate-coated roasted hazelnuts, and honeycomb. Alrighty.
It's a good outturn.
Yeah, I
I'm
know,
only
right?
on the third
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Well, this is another sherry cask.
I know.
Go for it. Yeah, this is a fun one. There's very few sounds as satisfying as that, are there?
Very true. Oh, wow. No, that's a color.
Yeah. Very much in the deep, rich, and dried fruits category, this one. Which I would say Scarlet Marzipan would be as well if it had been in the category.
Sure.
Oh. Following reduction, how about the picture of a wrangler riding into a rick house smoking a pipe? But don't try this yourself. To taste treacle tart with whipped cream and sour cherries. Following 10 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead, we transferred this whiskey into a first fill Oloroso hogshead. And this was aged for 14 years, so that's a 4-year Oloroso cask, first fill Oloroso cask finish. It's like spent a third of its life in a first fill Oloroso cask, which is kind of fun. And I really like it when... I love whiskies that have influence of both casks. It just makes it richer and fuller and more flavours to draw from, right?
Totally.
Nothing wrong with the finish. In fact, I generally often find myself preferring them. Not always the case. Full maturation sherry cask or full maturation bourbon cask can be beautiful, but I love it when they combine.
Fair enough.
So this is a Highland whiskey. It's from a distillery that was originally called Aldower. Aldower. Which I really like. It's now called Blair Athol.
Okay.
Which is also a fun distillery name, but Aldower's kind of fun.
It is.
From the 3rd of February 2009, 222 bottles came out at 55.6, which is 0.1% lower than Whiskey 1, but it doesn't have anywhere near as much bite.
No.
There's this really interesting mushroomy umaminess to this. There's a slight minty aftertaste too, which I really enjoy. There's a whole lot going on.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a deep foresty. It feels like drinking a cocktail made with sherry and hazelnut liqueur in a forest. Right?
Yeah.
Just delightful.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic, we talked about the fact that a woman was on the label of Scarlet Marzipan and how tragically long it took for a woman to grace the label of a Scotch whiskey. I would like to shine a light on an important woman in the Scotch whiskey industry because apparently she got missed out. It's been commonly touted that Bessie Williamson, who is an absolute legend, of course, was the first ever female distillery manager.
Is that incorrect?
It's incorrect. Blair Athol had a female distillery manager called Elizabeth Conacher in 1860.
1860?
I know, right? You go, Liz.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, Lefroy, of course, was actually owned by Bessie as well. It's an amazing story. If you don't know it, look up the story of Bessie Williamson. She's such a character. But yeah, Elizabeth did not own the distillery. Her family owned the distillery. So it might be a bit of nepotism at play here, I have to admit. But nevertheless, on the records show that Elizabeth Conacher was the distillery manager in 1860 of Blair Athol.
Slay girl boss.
Yeah, exactly. You slay, girl boss. Yeah. This it's a stunning whiskey, isn't it?
It's so good.
It's really nice. This whole outturn has been quite the surprise. I don't know. We've had such a weird run of great outturns that I'm afraid that at some point we're gonna have one that's kind of like gonna disappoint. It's still gonna be like if the next outturn which will eventually be slightly disappointing. If it had happened a year ago, would have been the best outturn last year probably. But because of the amazing stretch that we've been on, I'm just every outturn I'm worried that it's not going to quite live up to it, but it keeps living up to it.
There's something cool every month.
Oh yeah,
And it's ridiculous.
It really is. And it's funny because one of the things that one of our members complained about recently, there's shrinkflation, of course, is a big thing around the world right now, is actually kind of ties in with this. Because you might have noticed that we've got the 700ml bottles almost entirely now. And that's actually been the case for, I think, almost 2 years.
I've never seen a 700ml.
No? The 750s?
No.
You've never seen one?
No.
Oh, that's funny.
Not
We used to have them
SMWS
all the time. And one of our members apparently didn't notice until last month that we were down to 700. It's like, this is an outrage, it's shrinkflation. I'm like, it's not really shrinkflation. The rest of the world uses this as the standard bottling size. Like,
True.
And it's actually really, really good because previously, when we had the 750 bottles, we had to have things that were bottled specifically for the regions that use 750s, which I believe is America and South Africa are the ones that still kind of use it and mandate it.
Okay.
Now that we're able in Canada here to use the 700ml bottles, it opens us up to be able to get anything from things that were bottled for Asia and Europe and Australia. And basically anywhere, which I think is partly to the reason that we've got suddenly in the last couple of years such a big, broad selection of interesting whiskies and distilleries in the SMWS. It's really, it was for a while there, we were seeing the same distilleries again and again, and we're now seeing a little bit more diversity. And I think that is one of the big players there. So I all hail the 700ml bottle, I say. I'm okay with having that extra 50ml if it means that we're getting better selection.
You know,
I really am.
Yeah, you gotta pick your battles.
Exactly. And yeah, I love Blair Athol. We've had a few recently, and some of the prices were getting a little crazy. So this is one where the price of this might be quite surprising to you because it is lower than equivalent whiskies we've had recently. This is $236.43 for a 14-year aged sherry cask Blair Athol. It's gorgeous. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one.
Naturally.
Now, I'm going to leave this decision up to you. The next 3 bottles are all quite full-flavoured. Do you want to go for the gin before we go for peat, or do you want to go for peat before gin?
I think we should go for the peat and then the gin.
Peat and then gin. All right. In that case, our next whiskey is going to be Rocking the Gravy Boat, which is this one here. This is a fun one. Rocking the Gravy Boat. Lashings of leather, tar, camphor, burning pine cones, and smoked cheese, all sloshed down with pickled seawater, brisket, burnt ends, and root beer syrup mixed with barbecue sauce.
Now that's a tasting note.
Right? That's one sentence, too. Powerful, concentrated, and brilliant. With water, we got shoe polish, mineral salts, and pungent kipper smoke, along with a tang of beef extract and smoky bouillon powder. The neat palate opened with a distinctly gamey and leathery vibe, plus some very salty Dutch licorice, natural tar extracts, game salami with hot chili and smoked black teas. Reduction enhanced the leathery aspects and brought aged Belgian lambic ales, pickled tarragon, iodine, and a whole box of gravy granules. At the age of 7, we combined 2 hogsheads from the same distillery into an ex-bodega sherry butt.
Ooh.
This is not just any sherry butt.
Bodega
This is a bodega sherry butt, which means it was actually used to mature real sherry at a bodega, and then directly after that, used for this whiskey. And interestingly, 2 casks went into 1 cask, of course, because a butt is twice the size of a hogshead. So...
Yes. Sorry.
All right. Which makes this not a single cask whiskey.
No.
It's not a single cask whiskey, but it is from a single cask.
Whiskey rules, I guess.
Whiskey rules. All right, let's crack into it, shall we?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm afraid.
You're afraid? It is a lot happening in this whiskey, I have to say. Yeah, you might be right to be slightly afraid of this one. This was incredibly popular. I think we only have 1 bottle left for the online sales. Actually, this went to a 13-way draw on Sunday. Yeah. Which means there are some people that wanted to buy this, couldn't buy this, and will probably be waiting for the 10 a.m. release. So by the time you watch this video, probably gone. Sorry. Ooh. This is exactly the whiskey that Duke is in love with. I know every time we get a whiskey that has that nose, Duke will buy it. He is a sucker for this big, smoky maritime thing.
We have very different tastes, Duke. That's okay.
So what do you get on this? What's
Smoke.
hitting you? It's just the smoke. You can't get
Smoke,
past it.
Shoe polish.
Okay.
The saltiness
So-
comes through.
Let me teach you a little trick. I'm not sure if you've done this before. Pour a little bit onto the palm of your hand.
Okay.
Then
This feels
rub your hands together.
criminal, Adam.
I know. All of the alcohol is now evaporated off, and you're left with just the flavour behind it. And this will give you more smoke than you've ever particularly wanted, but it will reset you so that then when you go back to it, you'll be able to taste other things.
Okay.
It'll also smell a little more malty and sweet,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that cool?
It's but more dirty.
More dirty.
More dirt.
More dirty, more better. And now when you go back to it, theoretically, you might be able to taste a few more things that you weren't getting before.
Huh. There's the bouillon.
Yeah, it's beefy. That's really beef. Oh my. That's like the steak sandwich I had for lunch. Wow.
Mm.
Quite different, eh?
Mm. That's peated.
It's definitely peated.
But I don't hate it.
No?
No.
I was a little worried because this one and the next one are both high on the ppm as well.
Yeah.
It's more peat than I've ever seen you comfortable with.
It's like the sherry balances it out.
Yeah.
Nicely. So it's not too overpowering on the finish.
And balancing peat and sherry can be really difficult, and this one does it quite well. They don't feel like they're fighting against each other. They feel like they're living in harmony, but they're both very prominent flavors. So one thing I found previously when I added water is it suddenly got very spicy. They mentioned hot chili in the taste notes there, but yeah, it got really like jalapeno kind of spicy.
Let's see.
I added actually quite a lot of water there, partly by accident. It works really well with big reduction. I probably have this at around 35 now, and that's really nice. Because there's so much flavour going on, it can take a lot of reduction and still be quite full. Right?
Better.
Better?
Better.
Nice. All right. So this is a Kalila, of course. This is a 53.453. I believe Kalila is the distillery with the most SMWS bottlings.
That's
453 of them.
That's a lot.
It is, isn't it? 9 years aged. It was distilled on the 3rd of April 2013. 612 bottles came out of that butt. And it is a 57.5% ABV. And like I said, probably already sold out, but if you're really quick off the mark, there might be one left for $216.43, which is really good, especially compared to equivalent bottlings that are available elsewhere right now. Yeah, it's good value on this one. And I should also mention, if you aren't able to get it from us, don't fret. We have friends that can help, because we're not the only SMWS store. You can also potentially pick this up from Legacy in Vancouver, and this Outturn is also being released at Arc in Kelowna.
Okay.
They're only getting every third Outturn, but this happens to be one of them. So Arc in Kelowna is a great place to pick up this bottle if we're already sold out. And of course, if you're not in BC, your other options are both Alberta-based, so you can get this at Kensington Wine Market in Calgary and Keg and Cork in Edmonton. That's the only 5 places in the entire country of Canada where you can get this whiskey. All right, next up, Chorizo Inferno. Isn't that a great name? Yeah. It's Chorizo Inferno. Alrighty, so an antique sea chest made the perfect dinner table beside a peat bog. We got the barbecue coals smouldering and listened to shrimps and honey-glazed pork chops sizzle over the flames. I'm sorry, if you've got the flames hot enough that the shrimp is sizzling, you're overcooking that shrimp. Shrimp don't need to cook for that long. And honestly, the British are really bad at shrimp. They tend to end up like little rubber bullets. Stop overcooking your shrimp, Scotland. Anyway, flames licked the tongue also, with an inferno of hot sauce and sticky smoked molasses. Water was surely required. Now the peat and barbecue smoke filtered through sphagnum moss before merging with fine ash and tar stuck to sweet toffee. The heat was tamed to reveal chorizo sausage served in a hot cross bun with kelp seaweed, tobacco leaves, and a glass of salty Manzanilla sherry. After 5 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead, this was transferred into a second fill Pedro Jimenez hogshead, and is a sister cask to last month's Sound of Singing Sand. This is a Bunnahabhain, a peated Bunnahabhain. Bunnahabhain, interestingly, recently upped the amount of peated whiskey they make.
Did they?
This is now 1/3 of their production is peated whiskey, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
PX cask, always fun, big, sweet, sticky flavours coming from that. I've never once in my life considered the idea of using a hot cross bun for like a savoury sandwich. And now I can't wait for Easter to try that. Like, I just want to make like a ham and cheese sandwich on a hot cross bun.
Honestly.
Right? That'd be kind of fun. My stomach just rumbled at that thought. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
That's wild. This is, again, another Islay whiskey. 2 peated sherry cask Islay whiskies back to back. Both the same age, and actually both the same price, funnily enough. This is 9 years... Down to the cent, yeah. 9 years old, distilled on the 17th of October 2013. 236 bottles of this one, so smaller because it was a hogshead, not a butt. 58.6% ABV. And yeah, also available, strathliquor.com/SMWS. We did get a little more of this available for our online customers. 216.43 is available right now, while stocks last.
I guess.
I guess we should probably do that.
Really sorry.
That's all right. I got lost in the weird toasting notes.
They were quite weird.
They were.
Still scary.
And I'm sure not every Scottish person overcooks their shrimp, but I've had it more times than I would care to like have had it. Okay. Rubbery shrimp. It's not.
It's never the move.
No, never the move. I take a raw shrimp over a rubbery shrimp, to be honest.
Fair enough.
So yeah, a little less beefy and I would say a little more seafoody.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of candied salmon.
A little bit.
That is very pleasant. The PX is coming through quite raisiny. Hot cross buns is a good one for that because it's raisiny, but it's surrounded by other things. It's not just a fistful of raisins. It's got more of that breadiness to it too. Oh, here come the sirens. They're after us. It's an interesting thing because it feels barbecuey. It feels like if you were using this culinarily, and I'm not saying that you should add this to the drink, but if you were using this as a glaze or something, it crying out for garlic. It feels like it's missing garlic. And obviously we don't want garlic in a whiskey. But yeah, if you have a garlic heavy meal, if you're doing like mussels in a garlic cream sauce, this whiskey. This right here. Oh yeah.
Whiskey pairing?
Oh, that's very pleasant. Yeah, like I said, available right now, strathliquor.com. A beautiful little Bunnahabhain. This is 10.255. So yeah, we don't get as many Bunnahabhains. We're getting more recently than we have in the past. I don't know how long that's going to last, though. Yeah. It's always nice to see a Bunnahabhain, because since our supply of Lafroig dried up, it's basically Bunnahabhain and Kalila are the most likely things that we'll see from Islay these days. We'll occasionally get other ones, but this is, yeah. Well, we've seen a few Bowmores. We still get Bowmore every now and again.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen a Kilcommon. We get an Ardbeg every 2 years or so. We've had a couple of Brookladdies.
Yes.
But not like in regular outturns. There have been like specialty ones that for festivals and things. And yeah, I've never seen a Lagavulin.
No.
Yeah, and the other ones are kind of too young. Oh, that's good though. That's a really. So what do you have a preference between the two peated ones?
I'm just pondering that now.
Yeah. I'll order this one.
I think I like this one better.
Yeah. So it's less aggressive somehow.
Yeah. I think it's
friendly.
less campfire in your face and just more, just a little more toned down.
Water really brings out the PX notes more to me, which is nice. Yeah, it's a little bit more wine gummy. Yeah. Yeah, it's very good. Very good indeed. All right, so that is the end of our whiskies, but not the end of our outturn. For now, it's time for some Scottish gin, yearning for bubbles. And I'm sorry I didn't bring you any tonic or anything. If you'd like a gin and tonic, we'll have to wait till after work.
Okay.
But this does yearn for bubbles somewhat, and I'm sure you'll get that impression when you taste it.
I'm stoked.
The bad news for everyone watching at home is this is actually already sold out. We only got one case, so we decided to just let people at the tasting who tasted it and wanted to get it. The good news is it's a sister cask to one that is all very, very similar that we actually tried side by side at the tastings. And we got 3 casks of that one originally, so we still have some left.
3 casks?
So, case. So GN 6.2, which is the, I forget the name of it. It's up there. What does that say? Old Timey Sippin' Gin. Old Timey Sippin' Gin, which was available last year. We still have some left. Very, very similar to this. And we've actually reduced the price to match it as well. So it was substantially more. And we've now reduced it to match this one. It was like, we had to take 15% off to make the prices match.
Wow.
That is how much the SMWS is working on trying to make the prices a little less scary in this economic time. Is that your gin or is that the water?
Adam, it's a long day. I need to go home.
So, this doesn't smell
I've
much.
had whiskey.
All right.
Oh, there it is. There's gin.
Right.
There we go.
At first, we detected blood orange sorbet, lime zest, elderflower champagne, and orange segments studded with juniper. Elderflower champagne, I don't think, is an actual thing in normal form. I assume they're referencing the idea of putting sparkling wine with Saint-Germain elderflower liqueur, which is delicious.
Best drink of the summer.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
myself.
A robust and lightly peppery profile, some water brought suggestions of nettle tea, lapsang souchong tea, lemon curd, and fruit-flavoured popsicles. The palate showed a spicier side with coriander seed, pine needles, grated carrot, and caraway. Some rose petals touches brought elegance. With water, we noticed poppy seeds, fresh coriander this time, cucumber juice, and bergamot oil. A fresh and super lively gin. Mm-hmm.
It is. Very fresh, very...
So this is from Holyrood, a distillery close to my heart. I've visited. It is beautiful. I'm a big fan of everything they're doing there. And also Kelly and Rob, who are my friends, and also the guys that started the SMWS Canada, are also the founders of Holyrood. So, a little personal connection too. But seriously, everything that they've done so far has been really, really good. And this is a discontinued style of gin from them. So they started off making a few different recipes when they first started. This was their spice recipe, which we sold the actual spice recipe on our website, and as such, I have a write-up on it on our website. So this is the botanical listing. So juniper, which apparently is not a botanical, I recently learned. I don't know why, but apparently technically juniper is not a botanical. Coriander and angelica backbone supported by fresh red cherries, fresh clementine zest, and warming spices, including nutmeg, cinnamon, clove, and allspice.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. I don't know the exact reason that they stopped making this. It might have just been because they pivoted to their new style. I did hear when I was at the tour that it might have also been a supply issue getting some of the ingredients consistently. But their new gin, Height of Arrows, have you tried that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It is.
The whole thing with that is simplicity. There's none of those botanicals are in there whatsoever. It is literally just juniper, sea salts, and beeswax, and it's fantastic. But I did really like their spice gin, so I was kind of sad to see it go. Lucky enough, we've managed to try it again. GN 6.1, 2, and 3, which we've now had all 3 editions, and we actually have 1 bottle left of GN 6.1 as well, have all been the spice gin recipe. Oh, it's lovely. And I think spice gin especially works on its own more so than just a straight London dry or something.
Yeah.
Right? That extra sort of fruit infusion to it makes it a little bit more, not liqueur-y because it doesn't have the added sugars, but yeah.
Medicinal?
Medicinal? Yeah, maybe, with
I
the
get
cherry.
from gin sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, Holyrood makes whiskey now as well. You should check out my interview with their head distiller. We did a tasting of their arrival as well as a single cask that we have, because we actually own 3 casks of their whiskey, which will be coming out over the next few years. It's one of the things keeping me in this job, to be honest, is I can't leave until those casks are ready, which is going to be another 9 years.
Yeah,
so
he's stuck.
Yeah. I guess I could pass the mantle on to you. You want to be here for another 9 years and release those whiskeys?
I don't know what I'm doing for dinner tomorrow, so...
Fair. Yeah, me neither. Holyrood is, of course, in Edinburgh, Scotland. This is a first fill ex-bourbon barrel gin, so it has been matured in wood. They don't give an age statement. I would just assume less than a year. It was distilled on the 10th of September 2020. It got 255 bottles coming out of 49.6. And that's relatively common for gins to go into the cask at a lower ABV. You wouldn't put a gin into the cask at a super high ABV usually. A little more temperate. Yeah. It's very nice. So when this was available, it was $132.96. Unfortunately, like I said, it is sold out here at the Strath. Our partners might have some left, but you can get GN 6.2, which is very, very similar, now for about $133 as well, 15% off its previous price. I should also mention this is a special bottle because it's this quarter's Giving Spirit bottle.
Oh, nice.
So Kelly and Rob started this during the pandemic. Every quarter, they donate all of their profits from a specific bottle to charity. And this is now the 4th year that they've been doing that. This is the 4th, the anniversary of the first one, I think. And in that time, they've raised $18,000 for charity. Yeah. This month it is being donated to the War Amps, making a difference in the lives of amputees by providing financial assistance for artificial limbs, peer support, and information on all aspects of living with amputation. Very worthy cause, of course. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun having a gin every now and then. I know some people don't like gin. I like a good gin. I'm happy to dance among the botanicals. And honestly, because I have to not drink too much at the tastings, I didn't sip much of this before adding tonic previously. You don't need the tonic. No. Tonic's nice. It's called yearning for bubbles, but it's not yearning hard. I think it doesn't need the bubbles.
Pondering bubbles.
Pondering bubbles, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Contemplating bubbles.
Mm-hmm. Humming and hawing.
Humming and hawing, indeed. All right, well, thank you very much for joining us. It's what do you think of the Outturn, Taryn?
That was a really good one.
Yeah,
I don't know how next month is going to top that.
Well, we'll find out. I already know what next month is. There's some really fun things coming next month, in short supply as well. Next month's one where we're not getting 2 cases of a few things. We're only getting 1 case of quite a few of them. So if you want to beat the odds and have the best chance at getting some of the incredible whiskies that are coming out next month in the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, get your tickets right now. strathliquor.com/SMWS. I don't have the dates on hand. I can pull them up on my phone. 1 second. Calendar app. Where are you? I always accidentally open my calculator inside my calendar. There we go. So on Thursday, the 1st of August, we will be having our dinner. And on the preceding Sunday, on the 28th of July, we will be having our tasting in the afternoon. So those 2 dates are when you can come and try those next set of whiskies and have the best chance at picking up some of the rare ones. I should also mention, in less than a week, we have, speaking of rare whiskies, an extra special charity tasting going ahead. So please sign up. There's about 8 tickets left for it right now. It's $165, but all of the proceeds for this tasting are going to the Gary Oak Meadow Preservation Society. I always forget the meadow.
Fair enough.
Apparently, it's not just enough to protect the oak itself, you have to protect its surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
The Gary Oak Meadow Preservation Society, special tasting. All of the whiskies, which I think is 6, maybe 7 whiskies, are all black labels, including at least 1 from the Vaults collection, which is the one that comes in the wooden box, the super pricey stuff. So please come along to that and support this wonderful charity event. There are a select few tickets left at our website, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful occasion, co-hosted with I was mentioning earlier, actually, we've got quite the stacked team of potential SMWS hosts right now, because, I'm still here. We've got Taryn, of course, who's a superstar. We've got Andrew, who's... Andrew.
Yeah.
No,
Hey, Andrew.
Andrew, who's absolutely fantastic. We've got Pat, who is back for the summer, who obviously has the credentials. He used to be in my position. And we've got Brett, the manager, who's also been my co-host for quite a few years. So yeah, we've got 5 people who can host an SMWS tasting. But luckily enough, we don't have to necessarily rely on staff sometimes, because I have a very extra special co-host. Do you know about this?
I do not.
Oh. My co-host on Sunday will be the keeper of the Quake himself, the founder of the Victoria Whiskey Festival, Lawrence Grange.
Oh my God, Lawrence! That's so exciting.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some of you there. Thank you for checking this video out. There's links to other videos at the end of this. We have other upcoming tastings at the end of the month as well with Whiskey Folk, and we'll be dropping some new videos on the Whiskey Folk side of things very shortly as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.